Here we go.
Yeah!
Welcome to, again, I keep calling it a new show, Priya, but it's not new anymore.
Well, we're not new. We're not new to this.
We're not new, but
they're new to this.
It is new. So, welcome to Tip Tuesday
with Joan and Priya.
We got to get that down. We don't quite know how we want to say it yet.
I know. I kind of feel like we need to say more afterwards. But
I know. Because, I like to say thinkertainers.
No, that's our other show.
I know, but I need
on Friday.
Anyway, I am so excited because, of course, we're talking to a fellow Italian today. You know me with the Italian thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited because we're continuing this Heck series. And today is Heck Yes to Educating Yourself and Managing Finances During a Rainy Day.
Yes.
And it's raining every day lately. So this is kind of serendipitous, right? Or
I know. It's ironic. It's like pouring right now outside of my house.
Or ironic. I know. It's constant.
And for those of you watching, we did pre-record. So if it's not raining right now where you are.
You gotta go what you gotta go.
Exactly.
So who are we talking to today, Priya?
Sure. So we are talking to Rosanna G, and she has a beautiful
I love how you said Rosanna G.
I know. I feel so, I always botch names, and I don't want to do it.
Ready? Guardavaccaro?
Guardavaccaro.
Did I say it right?
Guardavaccaro.
There you go. You were perfect.
Awesome. And this Rosanna is an amazing author and financial educator with a passion for financial literacy, especially among young children. Inspired by her own son, Vito, she has written books like her Peter Saves for a Rainy Day series, and it's raining, to introduce the ideas of insurance, investments, and other financial planning vehicles in a colorful way that allows children to follow along and remember these concepts.
I think adults will remember them too, because not everyone, especially right now in this unfortunate situation, not everyone's prepared.
Yeah.
Right. So awesome, Rosanna. So excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and we're getting copies of her book. I'm very excited. And I see that there's some drawings behind you.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
So these are the originals. This is the first book, Peter Saves for a Rainy Day.
Love it.
They're all handwritten acrylic paint.
Oh, wow.
And then the second book is to the left, or to the right, actually. And that's Peter Takes the Train.
I love Peter Takes the Train. Oh, I haven't taken the train in a month.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I know.
So, Rosanna, there's a lot going on right now, as Joni said. I mean, I kind of feel like everybody, not even most of us, I feel like everybody's in this financial conundrum. Can you take us through, I know we have some tips already we talked about what you're going to share with us today, but what does financial education mean right now for what's happening?
Sure. So financial education is all about, just gathering up information. The finance world could be quite scary. There's so much information out there, and we were never taught this stuff from when we were children. I've been dancing in the world of finance for 20 years now. I've been educating adults, for 20 years. I have a son, who's 11 now.
And him earlier.
Yeah, you see, he ran into the room. So I would say about 5-6 years ago, as I was teaching an adult a financial concept, I was in my room, kind of hiding in my room. And after, he kind of ran in and he says, Mommy, I know what life insurance is. It's when someone passes away, goes to heaven, and the money goes to their family. And in that moment, I said to myself, wow, just like how children learn ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, they could learn these financial concepts at such a young age.
Wow.
They're very observant.
The book started to form, kind of right before my very eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just kind of spit back certain financial concepts, and I would elaborate on them. And then I went to, someone that I knew to illustrate these concepts and make them what they are today. And now I'm on my third children's book.
What's your third one?
Peter Moves to the Big City. It's just interesting how the universe works. Today, my illustrator just sent me the cover.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So I sketch them, but she makes them into what they are today.
Yeah.
And it's, the whole idea is to just use colors to introduce some of the financial concepts so that the children and the adults reading them also with the child can retain the information.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you doing exercises? Can you recommend any exercises that you're possibly doing with your son or families can do together?
So, my first book is Peter Saves for a Rainy Day. And it's interesting how it's raining today. And I think the unfortunate event that happened to us is like a sudden rainstorm, right? Is what I like to call it. There's a page in the book that kind of describes what it means to save for a rainy day. And I kind of want to read that out loud.
Please.
Just quickly. So this is, in this page, the dad and the mom
Lift it up for us.
describe
Now we see.
to Peter, like what it means to kind of save for a rainy day. So it says here, that's right, Papa added. Hold on 1 minute. It's important to save for a rainy day. Peter was confused. Why do we need money when it rains, he asked. Mama and Papa chuckled. Saving money for a rainy day is an expression, Papa explained. It means that when something new happens that we might not have expected, like a sudden rainstorm or anything we didn't predict, it's nice to have money sitting safely in the bank for us.
Mm-hmm.
When the unexpected happens, like something breaking and needing to be fixed, then families need money to pay for it. Papa continued, and that's why it's important to have extra money in the bank. So it kind of helps the child just visualize what that sudden rainstorm can be.
Yeah.
So for us right now, it's unfortunately the virus.
Yeah.
And our economy has kind of halted. And, what do we do about it? So what I just did with my son is we went through an exercise because I think people are looking for an answer, right? How do we get through this?
Mm-hmm.
So what I've been, trying to help my son Vito, just visualize is what I call this cash flow sheet. It's like a budgeting exercise for children.
I love it.
Right.
And so colorful and easy to understand.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like just showing them a visual cash flow sheet or an expense sheet, right? And I think that's what adults, are probably just going through in their mind. Like, what do I need on a day-to-day basis to live potentially for the next X number of days or a few months, right? So then it's just the income that's somewhat generated, right? And some of us are at a halt and some of it, has decreased our income, but just more concentrating on the expenses component of it. Like, what do I need day to day to live off of? So you're just helping the child visualize money is going to the home, money is going to the car, money is going to pay for the clothes, for food.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of helping the child go through that exercise. And what I have my son do is I just had him do his own kind of pie chart, and you could use crayons, markers, paint, anything that you have in the house.
And I kind of think this is therapeutic even for adults. So even to whip out your kids' crayons or your own crayons if you don't have kids.
Sharpies.
Or your Sharpies like Joan, and using those colors and treating it as because it's very stressful right now, right? Money is stressful right now. So sitting down and creating something like that chart for yourself with colors and bringing it to life. And it doesn't feel as horrible when you're being creative, right?
So true.
Totally.
They've told us in the past, you've always been told to have 3 to 6 months in savings. Well, not everyone has it. Not everyone thought they needed it. And then my dishwasher broke 6 months ago. I never got around to getting a new one. And now it's like, well, where is that in your pie chart? So this is great, Rosanna.
Right. And I think, kind of just going through the exercise, you know, people don't like to look at their expenses. Might give them anxiety,
Yeah.
right? And when we spend as individuals, we kind of spend side by side. So doing the expense sheet, you're looking at it up and down. But once you really start formulating the numbers and writing them down and doing it with your child, it kind of releases that anxiety and you know what you need.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can kind of separate, you know, your needs from your wants.
Yes.
Right?
Very
So-
true. Like my need is not flavored creamer for my coffee.
Even though we love it.
I love it. But like seriously, even though it's not a very expensive item, when it comes down to it, when you're really budgeting, you think about these things.
Right. And you know, the children are going through changes now as well. So it's nice for them to be able to express themselves, right? Just using color and then also as an adult and as a parent, you could kind of express it with them.
Can you talk to us about what it means to have a cash flow? What does that mean?
Sure. So, you know, so as individuals, you know, doing like a cash flow or a budget sheet is important. Just kind of going through, you know, what your daily expenses are, like kind of like what I've done here, you know, in the children's book, like how much you're paying for your home, whether it's mortgage or rent, insurance on the home, right? Or renter's insurance, kind of going through like what you're paying for your car, groceries, you know, which is like a food expense, you know, any other type of, you know, household expenses, you know, that you might have. So that's what I mean by cash flow or budget sheet.
When we think about it, like what you said was so key, want versus need.
Right. Even your cable bill, right? I'm sure that there are some channels that are really not being used.
Oh,
right?
damn it.
You know, just reducing that cable bill and, you know, that'll improve your cash flow.
Or just getting rid of cable altogether and watching YouTube or getting a Netflix subscription and that's it. Because I don't have cable. I have all the other stuff. I don't have cable anymore.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just kind of looking at this budgeting exercise, like this pie chart that I show, these are all basically needs,
Yeah.
right? To an extent. I mean, a home, whether you're renting or buying, and a car.
Could a car be subway, buses?
Yeah. So, you know, it just kind of helps the child visualize, and then it makes, you know, the adult visualize it as well.
Money is a very tangible thing. You could touch it, you could feel it. We know we need it to survive, right? But it's very attached to emotions. And you're talking about hope and keeping motivated and pulling that motivation from the money that you already have and that you've hopefully saved, or maybe you don't have it, but you need that motivation to figure out your next step financially. How, what would you recommend for managing your emotions around money?
Well, I think just to review a bit as to what I just spoke about, and, you know, kind of what I speak about in the book is that you have to try to separate your wants from your needs.
Yes.
Right? And, you know, in a time like today, you kind of have to have some type of a game plan. You know, is it 1 month? You know, is it 2 months? Like, you know, Joan mentioned, like, is it 3 to 6 months? And I think just having, you know, just some type of a time frame as to just what you need, you know, on a daily basis, and further it out on a monthly basis, and just give yourself like a 2-month time frame till we kind of get out of all of this. And I think, you know, we just tend to think of money when it comes to our emotions as well. But I think it's important to take the emotions out of it and just look at what you need on a day-to-day basis, and just look at what you need as opposed to what you want.
You just gave me kind of a release in that I realize I actually don't ever really go by a budget. I always just go with what I want to get, whether or not I need it. I just do it. And I don't necessarily say, oh, well, I should think about it and make sure. So now this has actually turned my head and said, okay, well, you know what? It's about time to, when you go to the store next time, you're going to only get what's on this list.
Yeah.
Because I love going to those big stores. I go to Costco. I store stuff all over the place. I could live here for a year and probably be okay with stuff. But now I think about it in terms of, oh, well, it's less expensive because I'm buying it in bulk and blah, blah, blah. But I have to sometimes now go, but do you need to do it then? Or could you put it off? And this is great, Rosanna. I promise you, and I'm going to check back in with you, I'm going to create a budget.
Oh, good. That the hardest part is realizing that you have, just doing the budget. But then once you do the budget, it's like your anxiety has kind of been released.
Yeah.
Like I even saw it in my son, we're all home from work. He's home from school, all these changes, right, that are going on that I had to kind of explain to him, like what was going on, and just doing this simple exercise, him and I together, released anxiety for the two of us.
So what's the next step for your book and your series? What are you doing next?
So because of what's been going on, I was so worried about like writing the third book. The third book, I wanted it to be for junior high school students. So I knew it had to be longer. But because of everything that's been going on in the world, it's given me a lot of material to talk about, right? And the third book goes into even more detail. So the first book is really about finding what you love, what happens to the income. Part of it goes to pay expenses, part of it gets saved, right? The second book is what happens to that savings component. And the third book, I also introduce the charity concept. So there's money that goes into savings, there's money that goes into spending, and there's money that should go into a charity piggy bank. And then I also speak about just other concepts like, real estate. And I go into a bit more detail, when it comes to savings. Like, let's say Peter's given an allowance of $10 a week. How much goes into the spending piggy bank? How much goes into the savings piggy bank?
Yeah.
And just like I had mentioned, it's interesting how the universe works. Today, I got back the illustration for the cover.
I love it.
So I'm really excited. I'm excited about the journey. I'm halfway through it. I'm halfway through writing the book. So, we'll see.
Well, we'll have to have you back on when you finish it.
Hopefully in person.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see. Depends on how long it takes you to write it. It may take you less time to write it than what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
You just never know. But it is a rainy day, this is the perfect way to talk to people about this. So, Priya, homework assignment for both of us.
We have more homework? I feel with all these videos, we have homework.
I think we need to both do our homework. I promised that I was going to write out my budget. What is your homework going to be?
I'm going to do the creative route, and I'm going to draw my pie chart.
With your kids?
Yes. Actually, you know what? Yes. I'm going to make my teenagers sit down and draw their pie chart. They're going to take half an hour away from the video game and do it. I promise to do that. And I'll share it. So, Rosanna, how can our viewers and our audience find you?
Sure. So, peterssaveschildrensbooks.com. Both my books and my story are on that page.
Okay.
I'm also posting, on Facebook and on Instagram. Peter Saves for a Rainy Day, and Peter Saves Children's Books as well. Just certain concepts about how you could teach your kids. Just certain statistics that are just out there.
Teach your kids and teach the adults.
Exactly.
Sometimes simplifying it really helps people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I went and got an MBA in finance, and I learned something from you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
We don't always use what we know.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much for being our guest today and providing
and it's gonna sunshine soon for us.
Yes. Hopefully.
But then we'll remember what we saved for our rainy days again.
Exactly. And thank you for the valuable information.
Yes.
Our viewers can find her books. We'll put the information in the chyron below on the video and in the comments.
And in the notes and in the comments.
Yes. And this video, for our viewers that know that we're pre-recording, will air on April 14th, the day before our tax day. That's not even happening anymore.
Former tax day. Now tax day is in July somehow.
Exactly. So now is the time to talk to your kids. You have extra time, extracurricular activities. Talk to your kids about finances.
Yep.
And you can also use the book as well for yourself.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Again, take care, guys.